great change for our young people. To negotiate safe passage through this period, students need to develop cognitive, physical, and social skills, skills that will enable them to transition successfully from childhood to adulthood. The role of our nation's secondary schools is critical in nurturing this development through academic instruction and cultural experiences, physical education and sports programs, as well as the many opportunities for social interaction. However, as schools strive to meet higher academic standards, the most important area of adolescent development is often neglected. Indeed, it is the moral development of our young people that will ultimately determine their success in life. Those schools that recognize and intentionally develop core virtues in their community of learners will graduate students who will become the leaders of the 21st century. We have traveled to the Brentwood and Kirkwood school districts just outside St. Louis, Missouri, to observe firsthand how secondary schools are successfully implementing character education in their environments. We will be guided on our journey by Linda McKay, Director of PREP, a project of the Cooperating School Districts of Greater St. Louis, Incorporated. Pat Harris, Character Education Coordinator and English Teacher at Brentwood High School. And John Shaughnessy, Math Teacher in the Kirkwood School District. We will explore how character education affects the culture of a school, how it can be integrated into core academic instruction consistent with higher standards, and we will examine the important role of service learning. Finally, a group of secondary school educators will share their strategies in the application of character education.
In St. Louis, Missouri, I direct for Cooperating School Districts a character education initiative called PREP, and that stands for Personal Responsibility Education Process. In character education training at the high school level, we have found the importance of bringing staff together to just share in a natural way what they're doing in character education has been the most successful process for our high schools. And Brentwood High School has done that on a consistent basis in very creative ways.
Here at Brentwood High School, we have done an awful lot in our curriculum to infuse the character traits, to incorporate character education in all that we're doing, both activities and in sports and in all of our curriculum. So I think it would be a good idea at this time if we shared with one another just exactly what's going on so that each of us can understand across the curriculum what we're doing. I think it would be a neat thing, Krista, if you started, since I know that you are getting ready to have a field trip with your business ethics class next week, so you could kind of tell us just a little bit about how that's fitting in with character ed.
Okay, actually, it's not just the business ethics class or the business principles class, it's the whole senior class. They will be participating in a business ethics day on Tuesday, and they will all be going out to a center, and we'll have breakfast and lunch, and we'll talk about ethics and values, and they will decide how they determine their ethics and values. And at the end of the day, after they've determined what's important to them, then they'll go out and job shadow, and they'll use that information that they received.
As a counselor in the high school, I worked with Krista in this project, and it's one of those things that students may think that they understand right from wrong, what's the ethical thing to do, what values do they have, how much respect do they have for themselves or for the work that they do or they're going to do. But I think the business ethics really seminar caused them to sit down and really think and analyze how they would feel in certain situations, and it really is a good test of self-assessment before they do go out. Every senior has an opportunity to go out and do job shadowing that is something that they can personalize and take with them and then see the application of it later in that setting.
You know, this starts with me in ninth grade with the biology classes. Last year was my first year of doing the Fruitvale module that we did in the class. And some of you may have heard about it because we were doing it over a period of about 3 months. And we were starting as a community that was had this problem with our water supply, and they had to role play, and they had to examine what values they had and where they were coming from. And actually they became quite aware of, you know, the different values that other people would take on.
Patty, I think that fits in too, you know, with them learning about business ethics or ethics as a freshman, and then they get it again in business law classes, and I know they get it in other classes throughout the district. And then when they're seniors, it kind of wraps up and puts the final touches on what business ethics and values are.
Well, I'm glad you brought up respect, because, as you know, I have the two hats. I wear the ESL hat, and then I also wear the student council hat. And in both areas, I can see that the kids are concerned about respecting each other. The student council kids this year, I think you've noticed the display case that we have every month, a different culture. And they research the culture, and it was very important to them at the beginning to make sure all the kids are represented, the kids who go to Brentwood. So it was easy, since I'm the ESL teacher, to help them know, you know, what cultures to research. And then in the ESL room, the kids are very supportive of each other's difficulties in adjusting and that sort of thing. And so I think there's a lot of respect for one another shown that way.
One of the things that we also see in our guidance office, and as we work with Mr. Penn, who, as the administrative assistant, is with conflict mediation, and the fact that we try to instill upon students that there's a peaceful and harmonious way to work out differences and to understand what being tolerant of other cultures and other ways of thinking, and to be accepting and to be respectful as you make your choices or your opinions known, and there's an appropriate way and there's a consequence for some of the choices that you may make that are not appropriate. So we've worked with conflict mediation training, and we have tried to have some people in each of the grade levels be trained every year, so that we have a core of people that are conflict mediators, and then it's a wonderful process. One of the things I think is very helpful, someone mentioned the fact that we have in the rooms we have the character posters, and we have words, and I think as we work with students, we have a common vocabulary that we have started to instill in them since the 9th grade, or even in the middle school and all through our curriculum.
Teresa, you had said we also, you know, it helps us with the language, using the same language, same terms, and the kids all know. And then sometimes it leaves my ESL kids, or it could leave my ESL kids out, except that when those terms are introduced for the month, we discuss what does that mean and make sure there's clarification on what does responsibility mean, you know, in English, and then we give examples and things like that. And that's something that we do in my room, my ESL room, to kind of clarify what that's all about.
So at Brentwood High School, which gives us an example of now a high school that has really integrated character education throughout that whole process, you can see example after example of where teachers have found in math, English, science, how to integrate character education and how to involve the whole building. It's really been a teacher, student, parent, collaborative, just as I mentioned, all of our prep districts have strived for.
We have to change a little bit about how we teach. We don't give the entire class up, but our role becomes much more in the background, where we guide students in the right direction. We help focus what they're doing. We change a little bit about some of the things they've done to make what they're doing better. We become a tremendous resource for our students. That is an incredible, that's a powerful teaching tool when you can give up your reign as an instructor to sit back and become much more of a facilitator and allow learning to take place among students.
And any teacher of secondary level who is interested in kids and students should be interested in character education, in their character, into their being. So.